What's going on, y'all? This is Lionel, the class of 2009, back with another episode of Peavy versus everybody. And you know what it is, right? When you see Coach on the screen, you know it's fall, and you know what that means. That means the season is upon us. We're here. All right. It's no more talking. It's time to get it in on the field. And so I'm excited. I hope these guys are excited, man. How are you guys feeling, man? We it's almost week 0.
Hey, I'm ready for it. Like I said a little bit ago, I go walking almost every morning. It might not look like it, but when I go walking, hey, this time of year, I'm listening to HBCU bands while I'm walking around the neighborhood. My daughter, she doesn't have a bus to school, so if she plays a certain song, I might say play Southern or look up Southern band playing a Michael Jackson song or look up Jackson State marching into the stadium, different things like that. So it's football season in the Northern household.
Oh man, yeah. It's definitely football season. What about you, Mr. Carey?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Football season. HBCUs don't put a ton of information because everybody's secret, but whatever I can find, everybody's guessing. So everybody's great right now. So this is my favorite part when everybody feel like they're great. So
hey man, it's a good time of year. Obviously, everybody is still happy and excited right now, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's the big thing, right? Is everybody got something to look forward to? Unfortunately, Coach, we know that ain't gonna last, right? You know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna last too long.
Some people hopes and dreams almost gonna be over with in week 2, and then everybody gonna start trying to play the spoiler role. So it's important to get off to a good start. Hopefully, some teams got some non-conference games early to get ready for the whatever conference they in to get prepared. But like I say, some people they start planning fishing trips, hunting trips, and getting mothballs ready in late September as opposed to around Thanksgiving or Christmas.
No, yeah, that definitely is true. That's factual, right? You know what I'm saying? That's actual factual. Right. So with that said, man, first and foremost, you guys already know what we got to do, man. We got to welcome you in and let you know, hey, if you're not following us over on PV_versus_everybody, make sure you're following us on both platforms, right? And locked in with this. We got some great things going on both places. So make sure you're checking us out. We also have some interviews that Coach and Carrie is able to grab from this past weekend with the Football Alumni Association. I know we're going to talk a little bit about that as we get the show up and rolling. But we're going to be dropping some of those soon, right, on these different platforms. So, again, if you're locked in there, you're going to be able to catch a lot of those different things. Also, again, if you have not done so already, go ahead and like this video. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. The goal is 1,000 subscribers. We got like 2 weeks left before the first game drops. And so, hey, listen, our push is for to hit this 1,000 before the season starts. I think we less than 50 away, by the way, guys, right? We've been building. I remember when we started and it was like 20 people, all right, subscribe to this channel. And now we almost pushing 1,000, man. And so we're almost there again. So if you're checking out the channel, if you enjoy the content, right, if you enjoy the recap show, then make sure you're locked in with us. And listen, we trying to spruce some things up. All right, you're gonna start seeing some different graphics, some different scenes, man. We're trying to make this thing really look as professional as possible. And so I hope you guys are enjoying kind of what we're putting together here. Also, by the way, it's a side note. Got the internet people coming here tomorrow. So we about to be really good and rolling in a second. All right, because when the internet people come and get me straight, then I'm really gonna be able to do some stuff that I want to do, right? So trust me, the internet people gonna be here tomorrow. I know some of y'all reached out and been saying what is going on with you and this man. We don't worry. All right, we got it. We about to have a handle on it right now. I was testing some stuff today, so we about to be there, man. So definitely let me know if you guys like the new graphics, the screens, what you guys enjoy. Because again, we want to make sure that your viewing experience is A1, right? And so as you guys are checking us out, as you guys are enjoying the content, that again you enjoy it in a way that is a blessing to you, right? So first and foremost, man, as we get started, I want to ask. Oh, we got Zay in the building saying we are so back. It's that time, right? Mr. Darius in the building. Saying hello, gentlemen. How do we look for the scrimmage last weekend? We're gonna talk a little bit about those things, but first and foremost, man, we want to just talk about there's an awesome event this past weekend. Obviously, Mr. Malone is talking about that scrimmage, but you guys got a chance to be there in person. First and foremost, just what was your experience like being there? I heard there was almost about 90 guys registered. Talking about former football members of Prairie A&M that were registered for this event. And so just talk a little bit about you guys' experience being there and just seeing the guys, all the stuff just around the scrimmage itself. How do you guys enjoy? What did you think about it? And how can we build on this too as well as PV Nation as far as that's concerned?
I'm gonna let you go first, Mr. Carey, because I might be a little long on this one.
He's gonna definitely be longer because oh my good. I didn't know that Coach Northern was dad to so many people. And they were so excited to see him. And you guys had to catch me in person for any coach to player stories, but man, they chopped it up, and it was wow, it was really good. Shout out to the players that could come. I think doing it more often, the one time you can't catch everybody's schedule, but man, in the future when they're able to really get everybody going. Shout out to Brandon and Q Kellum. They really worked hard to get all their ex-players together. And they found people from almost every generation of the sport. Of the team. So they were really impressed. I think some of them that might have been maybe their first time there. There were some other players recruiting people to, be Panther backers, and it was and even the lunch we had, which was really good, was catered by a football alum. So they worked real hard to have everybody involved. So, I did a couple push-ups so I could look like a football player. They thought I was one of them. They were so excited. Yes. I realized when one of our running backs grabbed me, I'm not a football player, not anymore. Dude felt like a big rock or something, but yeah, they it was really good. They really, really enjoyed themselves. They had a nice, cool place where we could put them, of course, the Panther room, and then they could go out on the patio part, look at the scrimmage. If they get hot, go back in. And they really enjoyed seeing the players. And man, when the players met the alumni, wow, it just seemed so real to them. And a lot of the players that I met were new players to Prairie View, but they were really excited that they were at our campus. No shade to any other HBCU, but they said, wow, we just didn't know it was like this, and I'm happy I came. And a lot of the football alums said the same thing. They didn't know what to expect, but after they came there, they were happy they played. And Coach Northern's not going to blow his horn, but I found out from the players, which I didn't know, he had a lot of players on his team that got their master's degree because they were just so inspired about a lot of the things that Coach Northern said. I'd love to grab alumni and get some Northern sayings on the show because, man, they remember that stuff from years ago. It's amazing. So, and they were really excited about how educated a lot of their teammates we're able to become under Coach Northern.
That's awesome, man. Coach,
Hey,
man.
Just the whole process of how I sort of got involved in it. So Brandon Bell gave me a call, and I was like, man, anything I can do. Because to be honest with you, for a while I did stay away from Prairie View because I don't think I could have been around certain people. I wasn't that mature. I wasn't that prayed up. So I'm gonna be honest with you. So I stayed away for a while because I've been in situations before where the stress level almost put me in a hospital. So I started going back. The last group of kids that I recruited when they became seniors, I started going back to their senior day. And now I feel like I'm really back in the fold. Brandon called me about, hey, coach, we thinking about doing this. We really want you to come back. And I'm like, all on board. Well, Miss Reed, who was very involved with this situation, she lives a couple doors down from me. And, she was like, coach, whatever you need or whatever we need to do, I give her some ideas. Let's do this, this, and that, because I've been a part of it from some championship reunions, but I've never seen it to where everybody comes back, whether you won a championship or not. So that was a real big thing. And then just seeing those guys that now, I'm going to say, for example, so Yavarian Richardson, people think Jonte Abad was my favorite Prairie View player of all time because he went to same high school with me. Yavarian Richardson is one of my favorite players in the world because I zeroed in on him as a recruit, and he was everything that I needed in our defense back then from Skyline High School. Not the biggest guy, not the fastest, but that joker tougher than a $3 steak. He was moving his daughter in to Prairie View while Adam is moving in back on campus. So it's full circle. I'm seeing guys that I coach now having their kids on campus, or when you seeing guys with their wives and kids coming back to campus and hugging, and they introducing me. And I used to didn't understand that, but I'm getting chills thinking about some of those guys hugging me and saying, thank you, coach. Or, I would have been out of school for this. And then the other part about it, it's a whole lot of guys that played football at Prairie View that are high school coaches that couldn't make it yesterday. So that was, just looking at them like, man, no wonder we had a good team because we had so many guys that you could talk to and say, hey, we need to make this adjustment. If they come out in trips, let's run this on defense. If they come out empty, let's check to this, and they can get that stuff done, with no hesitation. But that was a great event. I'm gonna steal it because I know a school in Baton Rouge that's gonna do it soon. So, but I think that was a great idea for just seeing the guys from the 1960s hugging and shaking hands and talking to guys. And then you'll see in part of it when I talked to Coach Jackson, one guy basically got a job offer because he ran into somebody that is in his field, different things like that. That's what you look for as a coach. And like Brandon said, man, if coaching them not successful to a certain extent, in today's football, it's more about the external stuff than it is who's calling 46 power and who's calling salt blitz. So it's going to be interesting, but I had a great time. My son was the film guy. In between him moving in and out of the dorm, and I'll tell you a funny story. To me, it's funny, but I sent him to go get one of the former players, and Adam went over and said, hey, man, my dad wants you to come do an interview, but he never said he was Adam Northern. So when the guy gets close to where I am, and he said, Adam said something like, here you go, Dad. And he was like, man, this little Adam, they still think Adam is like maybe 12 years old at the most.
Yeah.
Not an 18-year-old freshman in college. So, like I say, man, and that joke is happy. I don't know what. He at Prairie View. I know he going to love it. But it's great, man. It was great being back. Great seeing a new facility. A lot of people think I ain't got no hate for nobody because everything is going to come back full circle. But I love the fact that a lot of those guys came back, and I looked at all the name tags of the guys that signed up but wasn't there. Man, I was looking forward like, oh, I know he's a high school coach. He's not going to be here. So it was good. I The only thing I would have said, if I had to give it a grade, I say A minus, B plus. I think one thing that would have made it better had we all sat down and ate and broke bread together, and more of the guys that I coach, if they would have paid and sat down, and now they can tell us stories about old Black Shear. They can tell a story about, hey man, let's sit all the engineering guys together with our players that's engineering majors. Let's sit all our law enforcement guys. Put your name tag. What do you do? And when you see somebody, now you can go talk to that joker, and it's gonna lead to a job. A lot of jokers gonna get jobs from shipping all that Prairie.
Right. No, that's big. I definitely think it was just awesome, right? And just to hear you just hear QK, hear Mr. Carey, Brandon Bell, right? And just see even checking out some of the interviews that you are able to get, it really just showed how important an event like this is. And the story you told about, Coach Jackson and how a player basically got, a position on the spot. When he graduates December, he basically ready to go. That's what it's all about. That's what the whole purpose of setting up something like this is for in this situation. And so I was super excited to just hear what was going on and just to see the guys get together, right? Even being able to support an alum, right? With Pit Boss who came and did the catering, right? And so it's just awesome all around to see everything that was able to be done in this period of time. And like I told Bill all the time, man, this thing is only going to increase and get better and better. And I think the momentum is only going to continue to grow. So that's what's up, man. So again, man, we're excited to have you guys in with us here with the recap. All right. And listen, we got Coach here, and every year, man, we going to get to it. Of course, we're going to get into some Northern Lights in a little while, right? I know you guys have loved that from the previous year, previous show. Coming back with that again. But before we get into it, I wanted you guys to know just a little bit about what we got going on as far as the show is concerned. All right. So when we talk about the week at a glance, this is what we're looking at as far as PV versus everybody with the channel that's coming up this year. So you guys can know how you can check us out and how you can tune in. So we're really getting prepared and geared up for this season. And this is not going to start fully this week, but next week, right? We got the recap show. Of course, we're going to be meeting on Sundays at 8:00. On Tuesday specifically, we're going to be doing the live show. So we're shifting that from Wednesday over to Tuesday for our live show. We got the new PB Nation podcast. They're going to be there every Wednesday. So you got to check in with the crew, the YNPs as we call them, right? The Young Panthers. All right. You got to check in with them on Wednesday. And then listen, on Thursday, we actually got the coaches show that's now going to be starting up every week until the Celebration Bowl. We got the coaches show, okay? And let me say it one time. Every week until the Celebration Bowl, just in case you didn't catch what I said, right? We got the coaches show that's going to be meeting every Thursday, bar 5015. And so you got to be locked in there, right? We're going to make sure that we're supporting the show. They're going to be doing it live on Thursdays and then playing it back on Fridays on the athletic page. And so you'll be able to catch that out even if you're not there. But again, the hope is that a lot of us can go there and also support the show in person. And so also Mondays and Fridays, we're going to have some special deep dive sessions, whether that's just looking at films of teams that we're going to be coming up, whether that's looking at past games, right, and doing some breakdowns. So that's going to be some specific special members only shows and content on Mondays and Fridays. So again, we got a full slate. So the only way you're going to be able to be locked in is you got to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because we got some great things coming throughout this year. So now I want to get into a little bit about coming into this 2025 season. Coach, I really wanted to ask this question to you. And I know some people are talking about the scrimmage and all these things that are going on, right? I just want to ask you from your perspective, when you're coming into a season, and especially when you look at a situation like Coach Dishman and Coach Tremaine Jackson, you starting off with a conference game, which is super unique. This is something that's not really done. I don't know if there is any other two programs that start their season like this. I don't think there's anything like this in HBCU football, in FCS football, FBS football at all, where you start the season with a conference game against your rival. It's just unique. But now, how do you, as a coach, prepare for a team that you really have no idea about? You don't know what, you're a new coach, right? Or like Chris Dixon, the first year coach, but he really don't know what Jackson's going to do. Jackson's looking to say, man, like, I guess we got a little bit of knowledge of maybe what they're going to look at, but maybe there's some new coaches in that bring some new schemes. How do you prepare for what you don't know?
The biggest thing that you do as a coach is you go back and I'm going to just say, if I'm Coach Dish, I am looking at where Coach's offense coordinator came from and where his defense coordinator came from. I know most of the defensive guys were with him at Valdosta State. The offensive coordinator wasn't with him, but he's been a play caller. So you can see, let me go back and see what film I may have of the last time he called plays or the last stop that he was at. The other thing that you'll do is certain things you're going to prepare for sort of no matter what. You're gonna have you some. I was real big on trips checks and empty checks. So there may be some automatics or some blitzes that we're gonna call. So and then if I call a blitz, we got to have an empty check and a trips check out of that blitz, because sometimes you may not want to run what we call a gut blitz, 2 linebackers up the gut against empty, but I can fool with that blitz and make it a zone blitz, and I'm gonna get a free runner. Is one blitz you can run? Is no way they can block it. I guarantee they can't block that right, because there's not enough people for them to figure it out. But you're gonna put your automatics in if you're a defensive coach. On the offensive side of the ball, Coach Dish is gonna be looking at the 212 at Valdosta, and he's probably gonna try to find somebody that they play that's very similar to what Texas Southern runs on offense. Or he may say, let's see what, you can sort of break film down. Let me see what they do when they get against empty. Do they pressure empty or do they 3-man rush empty? Let me see what they do with trips if the ball is on the hash. Let me see if they put formation into the boundary. For most people, it's going to be a trick play or explosive play. So it's different things like that you're going to look for as a coach. And you sort of prepare for everything, but you say you can't prepare. You don't want to prepare for too much. Just keep it simple. You got some automatics. You have some built-in automatics, and then you may have to have 2 or 3 automatics per formation, because you can't keep showing people the same look in today's football. They're gonna figure something out. But that's the way I would do it. And I always say the first year coach have the advantage, but Coach Dish may be looking at it too, like you don't know what effect Coach Jackson has on the offensive coordinator, because Coach Jackson may say, I like that what you do, I don't like that. And at the end of the day, he's gonna make the call on what we're gonna do sometime. Or he may just say the only big decision Coach Jackson is gonna make is, do I go for it on 4th down, and do we go for 2? What's your 2-point philosophy, and that's it.
Yeah, I like that.
So basically, you're putting some automatics in, essentially, that you're going to use across the board throughout the year. Yes. And then kind of looking at trying to figure out what coaches have done in the past in different situations and kind of working on those things as well. Gotcha. So it still is in that terms, then sounds like there is some guesswork, but it's almost like educated guessing.
Yes. You want to set it up to where you have a good idea what they're gonna do, but it's gonna always be something you didn't count on. Like I said, I could go back to my very first game as the head coach at Prairie. We played Bethune, and we had film on their offensive coordinator, but they ran what we call zone read, and we call it a bob, where that fullback act like he gonna cut the defensive end off, but he goes to the linebacker. Now, if you don't practice that, it almost looks like a totally different play. And man, I think they averaged 8 yards a play on us. Mm-hmm. We had a freshman outside linebacker that didn't know how to adjust to it. We had taught our defensive ends one thing, and they hadn't seen that play. So it's hard to adjust to certain things in football. That power read can give anybody a problem if they hadn't practiced it well enough.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask coaches. Like, you could see a certain set that the offensive coordinator ran with a different personnel.
Yes.
But then the personnel he has here, that's the part
right.
I was wondering, how do you scout that?
It's a guessing game. So what most people will do, they'll say, if I'm playing against somebody, we'll call it, most people call it 12 personnel with 2 tight ends. Well, some people, 12 personnel is really 21. And if you keep one of those tight ends off the ball and move him around, what most people call an H-back. So if they moving him around, then I got to look at it differently. If he's what we call 2 inline tight ends or a tight end on the hip. So that's the things that you have to figure out early in the ball game. And to me, that's where the coaching comes in. Is it true 12 or is it 21? And once you figure out 12 personnel is heavy run and bootleg, 21 may be more power run game and play action passing game as opposed to the getting to the edge on that. So it just, you got to look at it and see what they're going to do.
And coach, because I know, and this one thing we're trying to do, right, is help all of us understand a little bit more of the game. So can you also just explain quickly, like, what is 12 personnel, what is 21 personnel, just so everybody on the same page out there?
So 12 is 1 tailback and 2 tight ends. Let me see, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. 21 is 2 running backs and 1 tight end, and then you sort of deduce that how many you got 5, how many are left are going to be receivers out of those 5 people. So the 12 said, some people call it ace or Denver, where you got 2 tight ends in the ball game and you can go zone. A lot of people zone and count out of that. Well, 21, you have a true fullback in the backfield. You have a true fullback and instead of 2 tight ends. So that's where the 2, you count the running backs. As opposed, the first number tells you the running backs, the second number tells you the tight ends, and then you deduce that the other guys are wide receivers. So that's like I said, and for some people, 12 and 21 is the same, but as a coach, you have to see, is there a difference when you look at it? And one day I'll bring out some of my breakdown charts where you can see 12 personnel, what do they like to do, 21 personnel, 10 personnel, and then you go back to what do they do down and distance with that personnel, and then we have a field position chart with that's the hardest chart in the world, and guys hate it when I assign them the field position chart because it's a grid that tells you based off of where the ball is on the field, what does the other team like to do. So, and then we go into the P and 10 versus 1st and 10. A lot of people don't realize to a coach it's 2 different things. Then P and 10 means the very first play when you get the ball. 1st and 10 is after you got a first down. The other thing is P and 10 sudden change. Did you get a turnover, a big kick return, a big punt return, or did you get a stop on 4th down? So that's the nuances that, and I tell you this, when you're watching the game, look at P and 10 after sudden change, how many times people throw the ball deep, or how many times
they take shots.
Yes. Look, that's a bonus series. Yeah.
Hey, this is no lie. We playing Alabama State. Johnny Cole is the offensive coordinator for his brother over there. So look, I'm at Grambling, and we turn the ball over, and Alabama State offensive tackle comes out. He tells the defensive man, he say, "Hey man, y'all better get y'all extra point ready. We about to score a touchdown on this." P and 10 sudden change. They on the plus 50 side of the field. Them jokers ran a triple reverse for a touchdown. No lie. And look, the triple reverse. I never seen it before.
First of all, that's crazy.
Look, they had a wall because you could see everybody yelling reverse, reverse. Man, when that joker broke back, then they ran it back to their sideline. man, it was like they had an electric fence set up over there. So, but you will see stuff like that, the trick plays and the play action pass. So I got into, I would call a blitz because I'm thinking they're going to go play action. And then we're going to play cover 4 behind it. We're going to play deep. And I tell my safety, man, if you got to play 20 yards deep, play 20 yards deep. But that's the ins and outs of football that a lot of people don't think about.
No, that's good, man. And it also, what also made me think about too was just the fact that you are, the question that made me consider is how much do coaches, so for example, Coach Dishman is in year 2 now, you know what I mean? Coach Terrence Graves, year 2 now. And especially people who maybe have their offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and now they're a second year with a program, and they say they got their, quarterback coming back, or they got their, a couple pieces, linebackers, right, coming back on this year's team. How much do they add year 2 to this program, right, versus what you saw maybe in year 1? Because you do see certain tendencies that's there, like you say, and we can go look at call sheets from the last year, 12 games, right? But now it's year 2. How much more am I going to add on to what guys have had a chance to see last year? Is there a certain kind of percentage that you see of coaches adding there?
Yeah, so what we call it is you got to add a counter. So if you're real good at running power, then you got to have power or power read with a counter going away from it. Excuse me. So you have to have a counter off of what you're strong at. That's one thing. A lot of times, I've been fortunate enough to go to NFL camps, especially when my younger brother played. I still have a relationship with Coach Doug Williams. So pretty much wherever he was, I could go watch a camp. Then I knew other guys, and I would go to a training camp and say, Coach, let me see one of your best third down blitzes, if you don't mind showing it to me. Third and long, third and short. Can you show me something? Or, Coach, can you show me we struggle stopping a power. Can you show me a front or a stunt or a blitz that can stop it? And I would always say, I want to bring one thing back from wherever I went. And I would tell my coaches, bring something back. If you asking for money for Prairie View A&M University to go watch the Dolphins practice, or they invite you down, look, bring something back. Not no clothes and no hats. Bring us a play back. That's what I tell them. So look, I would even do this. I had a coach, my defense line coach, Coach Brandon. He saw this blitz. It was and we ran it only against 20 personnel. So what I would do is, if you stood on the table for your blitz, I say, hey, Coach, this your baby. So I might say, we might call it a sword or dagger or something like that. Hey, Coach, we running sword right here. This your baby. Let's see if it hit home or not. Did they give us what we? So it's different things like that. I'll tell you, hey, bring something back and to add on to what we already have. So we're not gonna stay the same. We're not talented enough to just say we're gonna line down and beat you. You gotta have something to, just in case if they stopping your right hook, you better come back with a left jab or a counter to the body or something like that. So that's what I always say.
Nah, that makes a lot of sense, right? And so again, you can kind of see how you stacking on things, right? And you want to add, and that's why it's important when you got guys in your program that's been there multiple years, because now, like you say, right, I can give them more. So now I can give them counters, especially you talk about a quarterback, for example, that and you can trust them to control a lot of stuff, because now, hey, if you see this, I know, hey man, he got a play to go to. I ain't gotta, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gotta always get him in the right place, right, and get his eyes to look at the right thing, because he's seen a lot of that stuff. And so it's really important to have guys that's come back multiple times. One also remind you guys, man, hey, we do got the call-in lines up. The number should be up top, 805-706-5770. So if you guys want to call in, got any questions for Coach, or just want to add to the conversation, you guys can do that. Again, it's up top on the left side here on the recap show with Coach Heist Northern. And so I want to ask, man, you got a guy, for example, like a Terrence Graves coming into year 2. I mean, you've been in a lot of successful programs yourself, right? You know, not just as a player, but also as a coach. And then you also think of somebody like Chennis Berry, also at South Carolina State. You know, these two guys had a lot of success in their first year in their new program. Terrence Graves, of course, first year as a head coach with his success. But then you look at South Carolina State with Chennis Berry, not necessarily his first year as a head coach, but his first year in the MEAC, and you see how highly successful he was in that year. How do you come back in year 2 and continue to keep those guys in the right mindset so that you can make this not a, as we call it in the music world, right, one-hit wonder, to where it's like you here today, gone tomorrow. I think of Howard, for example, with Larry, right? Because, I mean, they had a great year, but it don't seem like this is something that, it seemed like they just caught lightning in the bottle, and it's not necessarily the program is always going to continue to be there. What is it that, and I guess the question maybe be, what is it that makes a coach to be a coach that is a perennial program that has an opportunity to win year in, year out, versus those guys who just really catch maybe the right players, at the right time, and then they just fizzle out for the rest of the time they're there?
I think one of the things is maybe the legacy of the program. How hard is it to get kids in school there, and then once you get there, that standard is set. So you pray that your older guys feed into your younger guys. So like, hey man, this is the way we do stuff. If coach say we got to study hard, we're gonna be at study hard. I used to think it was crazy. I don't know what, for coach to require us to go to breakfast sometimes. Just different things like go to breakfast, study hard, weightlifting. We gonna do those things. And if you have a certain percentage of guys that don't buy into it, you're not gonna have a good team. But and you hate to say it, at certain programs, they're gonna be cyclical. They may catch, like you say, catch lightning in the bottle. They get a good batch of kids that can stay around for a couple years. You may have to red shirt them, put some weight on them, different things like that. At a place like South Carolina State, now one advantage Coach Berry had was he brought a lot of almost like local kids up the road. So when you bring a lot of local kids with a chip on their shoulder that's talented up the road, that's gonna make. I think that was one of the biggest things that helped them. Now, can he continue to get the quote-unquote D2 guys to come play MEAC football, and can he get the bounce backs? That's what we call a kid that may have started off at a higher classification, quote-unquote, and then they looking for either more playing time or just a change of environment, different things like that. So that's the difference in how you stay good, and the different, and the lightning in the bottle, as you say, is just I would almost say the history of the program, unless you get a coach, like you say, that the university want to make sure that guy is successful no matter what. Like, I'm hearing now a lot of coaches talking about how many guys they had in summer school, where it was different times where, if you had 30 guys in summer school as an HBCU coach, that's high cotton. I can remember, and I can say it because it's, a lot of those people are gone. Trying to get money for summer school, and I go to one person on campus. They send me to another person like, hey, we have this program. Go talk to them. I go talk to the second person. They send me back to the first person. I'm like, oh man, this.
I hate the runaround.
Yeah. Hey man, I'm telling you, and I know you don't drink, but I'm gonna have to give me a beer or a shot, and I'm gonna just tell some stories that all of them are true, and I guarantee people gonna think I'm lying. We talked about this the other day, but it's it's just one of those. Now you're seeing much more alignment. A lot of people now have the bridge programs for their student athletes to get some summer school hours in. And at one time, say Prairie had a bridge program, but you couldn't get your football players to come work out. And you go down the street, somebody else has a bridge program. The football players work out at 6 o'clock in the morning. They may get a run in, and they meet all the other students at the cafeteria. So it's different things like that make sure that the program is successful. Number one, the financial investment has to be there, because you can't expect guys to pay to go to summer school, in my opinion, and a buddy that's going to another SWAC institution is getting his summer school paid for. Or you got a partner that's in Cornet Word or HCU, whatever they calling themselves now, that's going to school year round, and you can see why the freshmen at Southern and Texas Southern don't look like the freshmen or the second semester freshmen at those other schools. Yeah, and I'm sorry, and I did say the freshman, the bridge program is only for freshmen, but there are other programs on campus that help pay for summer school. But yeah, it's getting much bigger. I'm gonna just say one time I went home, and Southern was getting out of their workout, and it's 80 something guys at a workout. Now that used to be training camp numbers right there. So to have that many guys there is good for all programs.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And they're glad they came. They get a big head start doing that too, and get familiar with each other. So because fall camp, it goes so fast before the first game.
Yeah. The other thing with fall camp too is you focusing more on the football, whereas if you got a kid there doing, especially if you get them there for both summer sessions, you can get them to focus on the weightlifting, the conditioning, and how we do things. A big part of winning is how do we do things. You can teach them how to watch film during the summertime. You can teach them how to break down certain aspects. Like if coach say this, the numbers like 30%, they're gonna do this on 2nd and 10. Then you see how they come up with that number that they got to, and how the film breakdown helps them. So all that stuff you can do in the summertime. Whereas when you get to training camp, is let's learn these plays or let's learn these checks and then start getting ready for the first game. So a lot of guys, they not learning the in and outs of football because they just trying to learn soft blitz versus 5 different formations.
Right.
Right.
No, that makes sense. Mr. Mickens?
Yeah. I was just saying that in the past, that wasn't the easiest thing to do at Prairie View, was to get that summer head start. It was just, I know some players that wanted to get their head start, even the one-offs. They didn't let them come in the summer. They're like, well, no, you're not gonna. And it's hard because you count on those kids to keep training themselves after spring and during the summer, and that doesn't always happen. So they think they were training until they come in and hit that fall camp. Well,
hey, the only ones that, like certain high school programs, they gonna if you call a coach, say, coach, I can't bring him to summer school, but I'm counting on him to be in the number some kind of way. And if he's at the right high school program, they will. But some of those high school coaches, to be honest with you, once a kid graduated, they act like they never played for him.
Oh wow, that's crazy. That's no bueno, right? You know what I'm saying? That's definitely no bueno. But yeah, I wanted to get to this too as well. So, when we talk about, this season that's coming up, obviously 2025, HBCU season, for you guys, what is the most anticipated game of the season for you? What game stands out? Again, it could be SWAC, it could be MEAC, it could be either of those two, right? But what's the most anticipated game for you guys in terms of HBCU ball this year?
I got a weekend that I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I want to say, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, I think the Grambling Prairie View game is the same weekend as the Southern Jackson State game. So, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do, to be honest with you. Look, that's gonna be tough because my wife already said she going to Southern, and Adam already asking me about tickets for the Dallas game. That's one of his favorite games to go to.
Yeah, I heard him talk about it on the interview too.
Yeah. So that's tough right there.
Yeah, my son loved that Dallas game too.
Yeah, I can't say a game, but that weekend gonna be tough right there.
The most anticipated game for me is in 2 weeks, the Prairie View Texas Southern game, because no names, but so many people on their channel are saying, can we please make Prairie View lose that game? And Texas Southern has so many fans, they have no idea. And it's really anticipated for me because Coach Dishman now knows we can, he got some players returning and knows we can beat Prairie View. We've had some, and no shade to Texas Southern, but they've graduated some classes that never beat Prairie View, and they're like, oh, we could have just got them. And this time they have some that not that they were ever scared of Prairie View, but it's no mental block or anything. They're like, hey, we beat those guys, we got them. But the only unfortunate thing is they're looking at a brand new team, but then the fortunate thing for them is it's a brand new team. So it's a two-edged sword. It's like, we don't know what we're going to get when the bullets start flying, and they don't know what they're going to get from us when the bullets start flying. And, and from their clips on Instagram, they're pretty large team. They've been eating up there in Houston. So we don't know what's happening, but I don't know. I don't know. I'd be surprised if I didn't see some blue and white at that game. I'll just say that, because they really want the other Tigers want Prairie View to lose to the Third Ward Tigers. Really,
man, listen. It's right now. I've never, Coach. You've been around SWAC for a long time.
Yes, sir.
I'm pretty sure, even though you've been around for a long time and I've been around for a little bit less than you, I'm pretty sure you've never seen the angst and animosity in Prairie View Indian University like you've seen this off season. Is that a fair assessment of the amount of people that want Prairie View to take an L? I've never seen people want Prairie View to take an L like they want PV to take an L this year.
Well, I think part of it is a lot of people still think about the losing streak. That's all they think about when they see Prairie View football in particular. So to them in their minds, especially the jokers that's around, I'm 50-something years old, early 50s, when they think about Prairie View football, it's like we don't want to lose to them, those guys, even though Prairie View has a full allotment of scholarships, one of the top facilities in the FCS. So it's still that we don't want to lose to them mentality by a lot of schools and a lot of fans in particular. So I think that's where that comes from. We don't want to be that school to lose to them, even though quite a few of them have lately.
Yeah, and it's not that we're the big dog, but I think that some people don't like what it could be if students start believing I could go there and play instead of riding the bench at, say, Texas A&M or LSU. They say, I want to try starting out at Prairie View. And no shade to the PWIs, but if you could have heard all the master degrees that I heard about under Coach Northern's team, I don't see a lot of that from kids that go to PWIs. And so, that's a shout out to really all the schools, PV, Jackson State, Texas Southern. We don't have football players that major in something they can't use later on. So, Grambling, you can say what you want, UAPB, depending on what you want to major in. You want to be a pharmacist person, you go to Texas Southern or FAMU. And so we got that stuff kind of on lock everywhere. So shout out to them. But back to PV, I think our location as well as the facility, like Alabama State has great facilities, but you kind of have to be a person that want to be in that part of the country. But a lot of people that are good players would love to be near the Houston area where their family can come and watch them. And it just, the campus is beautiful, not just because I went there, because it wasn't beautiful when I was there. Financial aid was in some trailers and it wasn't a lot of grass. That's why you can't walk on the grass, because we didn't have much grass back then. So we wanted to save it. So, I think that's the thing is what, because like Jackson State has a good history, but Dion made these recent kids want to go there, which made recruiting for TC easier because he left there. I know some people weren't happy about the amount of players he took with them, but he did leave a mark to where students saw Jackson State. They saw some of the things he upgraded, and they saw that, hey, I could win at this school. They wanted to go there. So we get students and athletes that know I can go to PV and win, and I'm not going to say any names, but we have some kids coming up that are recruiting other kids, and I'm like, wow, we would have never talked to that kid. But a player that's elite can talk to another elite kid and say, hey man, we want to go over there, and I know Coach Northern saw that in AAU baseball with his son. I saw it in AAU basketball with my son. A team that a kid would never look at, if somebody he trusts is over there, then they will, and to be honest, Lionel, you got a big old target on your back because of your channel. I know it's at least 3 or 4 Jackson State channels, but there's no PV channels. They don't want us to say anything. And that's the other problem why they hate us, because they never knew of us to have an outlet. And in fairness to Coach Jackson, when he said nobody else had the social media like us, he wasn't saying nobody else did it. But in fairness to him, nobody else had the Suge Knight album covers. Come on over to PV. Nobody else had the Netflix TV, cover with the showing the kids' background. And I won't say what school it was, but we even got other coaches wearing dog shirts now. So you say what you want.
I did see that too. I peeped that out, by the way. You know what I mean? So
Remember, I told you.
That was very interesting. You know what I mean?
They changed one word, so it's McDowell's, McDonald's. We the McDonald's.
Oh man. So I mean, it is what it is. You just, hey, it just is what it is, man. But yeah, it's exciting though to see, kind of where things are and how and that kind of goes to what we've talked about at different times on the channel, just how quickly programs could change around. Coach talked a little bit about it earlier about programs versus ones that fizzle out, ones that keep going, right? Talk about right things at the right time, talk about having the right alignment, right, with the president and the athletic director, etc. That's something that I think we can say and be excited about, believing that we have right now, right? And I think that's why when you have like Coach Jackson and his excitement, that's a part of that excitement, right? Is because you see that alignment there. And also that, it's just a part of him just putting things out there, right? And being very confident as well. And obviously we don't make things better here on PV versus Everybody. Obviously we make everything worse. All right. Listen, little small forest fires, all right, you know what I'm saying, turn to burn the houses down on this channel, okay? Because that's what we do. But man, I also wanted to get into this upcoming game, right? Because we got week 0 that's coming up now very soon, right? And so we got the Southern versus North Carolina Central game. I think this is going to be an awesome game, right? I think this is going to be a game that a lot of people will like to see, and I think it's going to be a great game for the MEAC SWAC Challenge. What are your first thoughts when you see this matchup? And talking about coming up this Saturday, a lot of questions I think from Southern side as far as quarterback play, what that's going to look like. Obviously Central has that kind of understood with Walker Harris there. They do have a lot of pieces coming back. Southern's defense obviously very strong last year, and they got pieces coming back on that end. How do you think this game is gonna play out, right? When you look at kind of both of these programs and where they are to start the season, right? Because again, they're not where they are going to be 5 weeks into the season. This is like game 1.
Yeah, nobody knows what Coach Northern going to have a better explanation, so I'll just throw mine out there as a fan and a high school footballer. They're similar. This game could go either way. If Central gets some breaks, get a large lead, I think it'll be a long night for Southern. But if Southern can get just a 1 touchdown lead, they are going to drag this game like an old Baltic Celtics game. And Central is just going to be frustrated. And it's going to be, it reminds me of this, and I don't even watch MMC much, but MMA, I think, or whatever, the fight last night. And the guy was the champ, and he beats people up. But a guy from the UAE, he grapples. So he grappled this guy for 5 rounds. The crowd hated it, but that grappling, he couldn't do anything. He was so tired at the end of the fight, and the UAE guy won, of course, without throwing even many punches because he just kept him there and just that's what Southern's going to do if they get the lead on North Carolina Central. The fans won't be excited because they're not going to. If they get the lead, they're not slinging the ball around. They're going to slam it down their throat and play tough defense. So I'm really curious to see how this turns out because it won't be like the PV North Carolina Central game where we just kept the foot on the gas. These guys are just going to get the lead and hold them in a chokehold.
Yeah, you said it. Like I say, hit the nail on the head. Both of those teams are very similar in what they like to do. Both of them like a power running game. Central may be a little bit more explosive in the passing game. Both teams run that same 4-2-5 defense. Coach Oliver may bring a little bit more pressure. I think that's going to be the difference. Can Southern take advantage of when Central brings pressure? Can they hit them with a slip screen or get up top or get the quarterback on the edge and make a big play? But like I say, the thing about and I've been in that locker room. It's a different mentality. If the game is close, it's like those guys don't think that they gonna lose at all. If you just let them hang around, they feel like either you gonna beat yourself or we gonna beat you. So I think it's gonna be a good one. It's because they pretty much similar. Like I say, same defenses, same style of play, power running game, get to the edge, some play action mixed in. I know a lot of people in Baton Rouge, they and I can listen to it now since I'm not coaching, but they gripe about Coach Frederick's offense. But man, they run the same play. Good teams run the same plays over and over. I don't care where you are. And man, they're gonna run that inside zone, they're gonna run some power, they're gonna get the quarterback to the edge. And that's a successful formula for football, especially when on paper Southern didn't have the best quarterbacks, in my opinion. I thought T-Set, had he stayed, could have elevated the offense, but he's no longer there. But a lot of those guys can take those reins and make that offense go. So I think it's going to be a pretty good game. The old rabbit foot, huh? Hey, now look, hey, they got the chicken feet over there.
Watch out for that. They better watch out for
that. Chicken foot.
And the chicken foot.
Hey, listen, ain't no more rabbit feet. We ain't doing no rabbit feet this year. All right. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff has been banned. You know what I'm saying? Black people won't play with that stuff. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So that stuff is banned for the year. All right. You know what I mean? No, for sure. But I think it's definitely I think it's gonna be a good game. It's really I think we're really gonna see one, talk about Kelby Givens a lot, right? I think you're going to see, how well, who's going to win that battle up front between Southern's defensive line, which has Kelby Givens coming back, but there are a couple pieces up front that they did lose off of this team from last year. And so they are putting some new pieces there. How does Central seek to handle that, right? On the offensive line side of things. Are they going to keep, they got dynamic running back there, right? Are they going to keep those guys in the chip? Are they going to have the tight end right on that side a lot, right, to kind of help with Kelby? What are they going to do to kind of mitigate him on that side is going to be a big question. And is Southern going to have anybody else on the defensive line able to go with him in order to keep that pressure on? That battle right there, I think, is really going to decide the game because I think we all know and understand that Southern's defense is there. Is the leader of that team, right? And so, and the same thing with Central, right? We know that they definitely have a pretty solid defense, right? But they are led by the offensive side, in terms of that team over at Central. And so, who wins that battle up front in the trenches, I think, is going to really win the game. And Central has a offensive line that's coming back, and then, like I say, Southern definitely has a dynamic piece on that D line. But I think that's really going to be interesting to see how this game goes. Coming from this game, Coach, how do you feel whether Central wins or loses, Southern wins or loses? What is this? Because obviously it's an out-of-conference game, so it's not something that affects your season in your conference. Neither does it affect you necessarily being able to see this team again later on in the season if you can win the SWAC and the MEAC, for example, right? But what does a game like this help? How does it help to kind of frame the rest of the year and the next 11 games for you if you win it or if you lose it.
So if you win it, you definitely feel like you did what was right during training camp in summer. So I'll just say for Southern, if they win, they gonna feel, in my opinion, much better than Central will because they starting a new quarterback. So anytime you can win with a new quarterback, I think that's gonna bode well for you. So now you're gonna have some film to teach off of. You're gonna have something to show that, hey, we did this right, guys. Now let's maybe add a little bit more to the pot. Now, if you lose it, it's gonna be some doubt, especially if Southern loses, because everybody this quarterback should have been playing, that quarterback should have been playing. We should have did everything we could to keep T-Set around. All those different things like that are going to go into play if they don't win. Now, for Central, that it's just going to roll off their back and they'll roll, because I'm thinking it's going to come down to them, Morgan, and South Carolina State, to who's going to win the MEAC. And all three of those teams feel like they're going to have enough to get back to the Celebration Bowl on that side.
Coach not giving Michael Vick any shot.
Nah. Nah.
Wow.
I have to see who he brought in, but I'm still. I think, and don't take this the wrong way. I think.
No, I'm gonna take it the wrong way, but go ahead.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it anyway. People look at Delaware State and Norfolk during certain times, almost like people in the SWAC look at. I say a Pine Bluff, a Prairie View. They gonna have some decent teams here and there, but they not gonna be world beaters. They not thought of very highly, even though they have some championships in their background. People don't look at them like they football juggernauts. So, like, it's gonna be one of them. I need to see it before I believe it. I'm gonna have to stick my hand in them holes before I believe
it. It's a snake there. I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that was probably Coach's strongest prognostication we've had on the show. You know what I mean? Last year we didn't get one that strong all year. So I'm happy. We starting out the year right, y'all. We starting out the year right. Coach came out strong on that one. You know what I mean? But that makes sense. Mr. Carey, you got anything before we switch over to, I know, everybody's favorite segment?
The favorite segment.
And we got something special for Northern Lights today.
Now, Coach made me want to watch Norfolk State now because he said, not believing it.
Now, I'm going to watch them, but I'm just not going to hold them in very high regard till they win some games.
Oh, for sure. Now, they play on a Thursday this year, too. So, their first game against Towson. So, they're be in a good position to be, to have a chance, right, to kind of get some eyeballs on them. Obviously, with Vic there. How do y'all feel, too, before we leave here? How do you feel about ESPN flexing that South Carolina State Central game to a Friday? And it's a Friday at 4:00 Central, 5:00 Eastern. By the way, this ain't no Friday like late. This is a Friday like you might be picking up your kid from school by the time the game is at halftime, type of thing. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
If they ain't give them a lot of money, man, that's a shame. If they didn't say, look, I don't know whose home game it is, but somebody gonna have to
home game this year.
Who is that?
Central.
So they gonna have to give me a lot. And man, Central ain't an easy place to get in and out of. I went up there last summer. It's not an easy place to get in and out, but it's, man, I don't know how much they'll have to pay me to play at 5:00 if I'm the athletic director and the head coach.
Well, it's kind of like tough. I almost don't have a choice, right? Because ESPN essentially owns the content, right? And they flex the game. I hate the Thursday games for them and the Friday games, especially when it's a big game.
Yes.
If it's one of those kind of side games, it makes sense. But those big games, I hate it for them, especially that one that's going to be so huge, right, for the conference. Yeah. So, but with that said, man, before we get to your favorite segment, got to talk a little bit about the home team, man. And so first and foremost, I got to let y'all know about PV alumni Jeff McKissick. He's a Texas licensed loan officer with Fairway Independent Mortgage Company, and he'll guide you seamlessly through the home buying process. See, many of us are unaware of our credit score or our true financial standing, but Jeff will help you develop a step-by-step plan to improve your financial standing, making your dream of owning a home achievable sooner than you think. All right. So listen, don't let the fear of achieving new heights hold you back from getting the home of your dreams, perfect for your growing family or hosting those PB watch parties. Get started now on taking the first steps towards your new home and taking the next big step in your life. Don't delay. Talk with Jeff today so you can be in your home tomorrow. All right. Don't delay. Listen, you got to talk to Jeff today if you're trying to be in your home on tomorrow. And listen, once you get that loan in place, then you already know who you got to hit up next, man. Hey, look, it's your boy. It's your boy. All right. Make sure you hit your boy up, right? Especially if you're in the greater Houston area, all right, and looking for real estate, whether it's for you, whether you talk about investment property. Listen, man, I believe that just as God has a mansion for you in heaven, he has a specific place for you to be on this earth. And so I am simply partnering with him to prepare a place for you. So after we get your loan in place with Jeff, you know what I'm saying? You're going to rock with your boy. We're going to find a home of your dreams. And listen, before you walk into it, though, man, we got to hook you up with my guy, Neil Harris, because when you're thinking big about your home purchase and want a thorough assessment of your biggest investment, you owe it to yourself to contact Big. That's Blueprint Improvement Group. Big provides home inspections in the greater Houston area and is owned and operated by proud PV mechanical engineer Neil Harris. Right? He has experienced inspectors who use advanced tools and techniques to assess every aspect of the property from the roof to the foundation. Visit thinkbig.com or text 713-259-0673 to book your home inspection. Support the team that supports the team. All right. Support the team that supports the team. And so now, man, when we talk about supporting the team now, it's nothing like, right? It's nothing like those northern lights. All right. You know what I mean? And so at this time, man, I gotta give it up for my guy, Coach Northern. He's gonna take us through, you know what I mean, and talk a little bit about those northern lights, right? You know what I mean? And so, Coach, why don't you take it away, man? Because I know you got something special for us talking about. Because Coach has been trying to stay away this year, right? They've been trying to keep things under wraps. They ain't trying to let people in on nothing because it's almost like they think people be like Spygate is an HBCU ball. So today we want to talk a little bit about spying, right, among HBCU coaches, man, and kind of talk about rabbit foot. You talking about people feeling like things going on around them, man. HBCU coaches feel the same way. So take it away, Coach.
Coach, look. So I'm gonna get it started. I'm gonna sort of go through in chronological order a little bit. So what I'm gonna talk about is some alleged spying incidences and how some coaches reacted to it. So I played at Southern when Marino Chasm was the head coach the second time. So we had one coach. Chasm came in for 1 year before Coach Richardson became the head coach. So we were at practice one day, and it's like a hot air balloon deal going on. So Kaz, we call him Kaz basically stopped practice. Like, hey, man, he thought that they were spying on. I'm not sure if we were getting ready to play. It was either Alabama State, whose head coach had worked under Coach Chasm, or we were getting ready to play Alcorn. But I remember him stopping practice. I'm like, hey, man, it's almost like they spying on us, so we need to stop for a few minutes type of deal. Now, I'm not sure how many of y'all have ever been on Southern's campus, but if you go, we call it the hump by the baseball field. So if you go over the hump and you go down, it's some apartments on the left, right across the street from, well, when I was in school, it was the football practice field. They still use it some if they playing a game on grass. But so one time we were getting ready to play, and some guys are in the apartments across the street. It's an older gentleman watching football practice. Well, coach sends somebody over there like, hey, man, you can't watch practice from up here. But it was just he was actually a Southern fan that was helping his son move into an apartment, and he just was watching practice. Well, another time is somebody watching, and coach sends somebody over there, and it was some police officers that were looking for a guy on the team, but they didn't want to arrest him at practice. So, and he's correct, the Villa, that's where it was. So so the guys, the police officers, two of them over there, and lo and behold, like I say, they looking for one of the guys on the team, but didn't want to arrest him. 1 year we're getting ready to play Northwestern State when Coach Richardson, I think it was Coach Richardson's second year, so it was my junior year of playing football. So some white guys show up at practice. Now, you know, it's HBCU versus PWI in our mind and the coach's mind. So everybody's like, who are these guys? So they send somebody over. Well, lo and behold, one of the guys was a newspaper guy, and the other two guys, they were new to Baton Rouge, but they worked for, it was Channel 33. So, you know, coach like, hey, man, you know, sort of make sure y'all go through the proper protocols because, you know, my players over here almost getting ready to fight you guys because they think y'all spying on us trying to watch practice. Now, I do know it's some schools, and I'm not going to say what school it is. So it's a certain school, there's a parking garage by they practice field. So I do know that coaches have sent guys to that particular school and tried to film or like, coach, they doing this and getting word back to teams that they playing against. The other thing, now you got to watch your players' huddle account and Instagram, because I remember one year coaching and a guy, one of my assistants say, hey, coach, look at this. This is somebody, one of their players put up is 3rd and 5. And it's a certain situation. He's running the play, shows it to me. We get in the game, the very first 3rd and 5, they run the exact same play. I'm like, oh, man, we own something. So all the coaches out there, you better watch your players' Instagram and make sure you change the huddle log in. I know we had a big incident last year with the huddles and all that type of stuff. So check your players on that one. The other thing I've seen a coach do that I work with, he worked at a lot of different schools. He would call schools football dorm and get on the phone with players from the variety of schools. And he gonna start off with the general questions. You know, is there anything we need to look out for? You know, y'all got any trick plays up, or, you know, all this kind of stuff that he would ask them about. And lo and behold, it would be and the kids just thinking, man, I'm on the phone with ESPN or the Houston newspaper or the Baton Rouge newspaper, and it's a coach that worked at a school that I was at, and he would call almost every school and get some information before we play. He called, hey, where's the football doing? Let me speak to such and such and go from there. Now, a crazy thing that happened, and it wasn't crazy, but so whenever I go places, I usually call either my buddy that work at a school or I call the head coach, because I may say something like, hey, coach, you know, I'm a former football coach, or I am a football coach. I'm not coaching right now. I just want to come watch practice. So I call this one school and I talk to my buddy. He say, run it by the head coach. He give me the head coach number. I say, hey, coach, I'm going to be in town. I want to come to practice. So this coach lets me come to practice. So I'm going to just say practice start at 8 o'clock in the morning. I get there about 7:55, 8 o'clock. I go in, you know, talk to my buddies that I know. About 8:30, the head coach comes over. No, about 8:20, he says, okay, we're going to close practice in a few minutes. But I don't think there's no way in the world he talking to me. So a few minutes later, about almost right at 8:30, the coach comes over to me and say, all right, coach, I'm glad you came. I'm glad you came. I'll see you next time. You always welcome back. I'm saying to myself, now I'm out of town. It took me longer to drive to that practice than how long I stayed at practice. I'm saying to myself, man, he ain't never got to worry about me coming back to his practice again. But, you know, it's like everything gets so top secret, but at the end of the day, it's going to all boil back down to football. Like, you know, and we talk about the sign stealing at Michigan. Hey, man, these HBCU coaches is like what they call it, A1 top secret 007 and all that kind of stuff. It's some spy gates going on with these coaches and trying to protect information. You talking about even from the roster to the depth chart to plays and signals. It is it's amazing. I tell you, and I think at one time when Texas Southern was working on their old stadium, the on-campus stadium, you could see part of Texas Southern practice when the old side, the the visitor side was down, you could see part of practice. And I know certain schools would, they may send a high school coach over there, or they may even send a high school coach to practice and say, hey, I'm in the area. I just want to come see how you guys doing stuff. And they call their buddy back at Grambling or Jackson State or Pine Bluff, wherever, and giving information. So it's some stuff that go on with trying to get information from, especially before the first game. Now after the film get out, you don't see as much, but yeah, it's some hiding and A1 top secret stuff in this HBCU football, because these coaches be paranoid these days.
Nah, that's it. Listen, first of all, I'm not gonna lie. It's diabolical to call up the player, right? And literally have the player on the phone thinking that you are ESPN,
yes,
or whatever that may be. Listen, that's
crazy.
That's just.
But the thing about it was just the way he did it, and he this back in the, I say the Rolodex days almost, where everybody didn't have numbers saved in their phone, but like I say, every week that joker would call whoever we was playing almost and be like, hey, I'm this is such and such from ESPN, and I'm doing an article on the big game this weekend, all that type of. Let me see.
That's crazy. I can't even lie to you. That's kind of messed up. That's diabolical. Like, that's diabolical to get all that information from a kid. Oh man, that is. Whoo! That Johnny says, look out for the drones. Look out. Hey, listen, NCC, you probably got drones over Southern practice right now. You know what I'm saying? They probably got drones over Southern practice.
Let me see if Adrian can see my shirt. This is my high school say, I'm so Glen Oaks. I saw Adrian made a comment about it. Adrian, I don't have no Facebook, but if you catch up with my sister, man, look, get my number from my sister so me and you could talk. It ain't gonna be no bad. I ain't gonna big boy you, but I really want to see if we can get you on the show without cussing. Now, if you're gonna cuss, we're gonna have to move in a different direction. But look, I'm gonna tell y'all this. I've been knowing Adrian since he was a little boy, and that joker was a good football player. So don't hate on him, y'all. But like I said, I've been knowing him since I went to high school with his older brother. But I've been knowing him a long time. But he was a good football player. So Adrian,
that's the first comment he put. That's the first comment he placed without cussing too, right there. So.
Yeah, that's the first one.
He moved in a good direction.
Hey, look up my brother or sister on Facebook and get my number so we could talk.
Oh man, that's hilarious. But yeah, man. No, it's so funny, right? Because going and checking out practice, and even we talked about the scrimmage, right, that just happened this other day. So hilarious, right? Because coach got quarterbacks in 90s, what I'm saying?
Man.
Got the running backs in 50 jerseys, what I mean? Like, linemen just got black jerseys on. It's just so hilarious. Like, man, if you don't know who nobody is, you really wouldn't know.
Your mama could come in there practice and wouldn't know who you was if she didn't know the way you walked or heard your voice. I'm like, man, it was fun. It's funny to me because I done been there and done that. I ain't gonna lie, but it was funny, bro. And look, they had people. I think, did they ask you to walk around? And they asked people literally, like, hey, moms and dads, we know y'all want to get y'all baby on film, but please, no videos and no photos of practice. And even they told the older, just say the guys that may have played for me that were standing up top in the end zone, like, hey guys, no pictures and no video. And you got to respect that, and if you pulling for Prairie, you're gonna do what's asked of you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. We ain't giving nothing out until we come off the hill, right?
Nah.
We ain't giving nothing out until we come off the hill. That's hilarious. But that was the funniest thing, though, is just hearing and seeing the guys. It's like, man, I don't know who nobody was anyway, because everybody had on some type of crazy. No, we had defensive linemen playing quarterback. We had offensive linemen playing running back. Oh man, receiver.
That number 91 at quarterback just threw me for a loop, though. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh yeah, that was pretty funny. And that,
Coach Jackson, if you listen to the show, that's my bad. I don't want to give out the secrets. That's me. Like this is what my daughter do. That's my bad. So
That's me. Oh man, that
they
was so
funny.
funny though.
Yeah.
Like that was so hilarious just seeing the numbers they had. But hey, it makes sense because then it don't even matter who you, like you say, right? You got coaches inviting you to practice, like, all right, I got to get them out of here. It don't matter who you invite to practice when you mix and match the numbers like that, because you don't know nothing about what's going on anyway. You know what I'm saying? Well, I know they had a good kid. They had a good defensive lineman that played good at quarterback. I don't know who he was.
Don't know who he is.
That's hilarious, man.
Yeah, but
Nah,
it's pretty
up,
funny.
yeah.
That's because there's a funny story about that. Telling the people not to do the pictures. The soccer team came and we saw the young lady sitting over there. I think they had their phones queued up already to do snap or something like that. And I went over there with Brandon to tell him, hey, coach said no pictures, video. Then I jumped across the bleachers and all the girls clutched themselves like, oh my God, what are you doing? and then I said, why'd y'all say that? We said, we thought you were gonna fall over because I'm old. And they like, you can't be jumped. So I jumped back up the bleachers and they like, please don't do that. Oh my God. It's like, he's so old, he's gonna fall out right here.
Yeah.
I said, boy, you guys are easily impressed, boy.
They thought you old as the world. That's crazy.
Hey, number 76 at wide receiver. Hey, hopefully he keep them hands up throughout the season.
When he changed
and block and do some good blocking at the same time.
Yeah, so he wearing 76. He need to be a good blocker at wide receiver too. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, those dudes was yeah. Scrimmage was funny. That was them numbers just was getting me.
Hey, Peasy, man, you got to come through. Hey, listen, this is gonna be. I think this is, and I don't know you guys' assessment as we closing up here, but I think this Labor Day Classic is the biggest Labor Day Classic in the history of the 40 game. I'm talking about the 40 years of Labor Day Classic, right? It's the 40th. When I think back on the past, right, I think this is the biggest one in the history so far, with Texas Southern coming in, feeling like they were able to build momentum off of last season, looking at their trajectory and saying, hey, I think we can take the next step up and get to the SWAC championship game. With Prairie View coming in, obviously with Coach Jackson and everything that he's building, I really feel like this is the biggest Labor Day Classic in the 40 years of the Labor Day Classic. I don't know you guys' thoughts on that, but there's definitely, I feel Derek say, why wear numbers at practice anyway? Right? Listen, some of them didn't have numbers. They just had white jerseys, black jerseys. Okay, listen, they look like rec league football. All right, we're gonna give y'all some black. You got black jerseys, you got white jerseys, no numbers. Okay, listen, they not playing with y'all out here. They not playing with none of y'all out here. Okay, even if y'all got a drone, you ain't gonna know what's happening. Okay, even if y'all got drones like NCCU and Mr. Johnny, you know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't gonna, you know what I mean? Y'all ain't gonna get nothing out of us. Right?
Hey, my coach used to say, man, y'all jokers out here looking like a bingo long and a Negro League All-Stars when you got all them different color jerseys on. So, but yeah, look, hey man, if this game not sold out, which it should be, it's a doggone shame because you got Texas Southern the end of the street and you got Prairie View with a new head coach. Man, that ought to be one of the most exciting environments. From the time you go to stretch, that thing ought to be jumping till the time it's over with. And I think it's going to be a close game, but it ought to be one of the top environments, not just from a number standpoint, but just the band, the crowd, the students, all that going back and forth, along with the football teams, the cheerleaders going at it, man. It should be a great environment, especially if both fan bases get involved.
No, for sure. And Mr. Cavill said since 2010. I think 2010 was a big one too. That's the year after Prairie View won the championship. Yes. And he had Coach Cole right there that year. So yeah, that one was also a big one. Big one.
Yeah.
So and that's the only one that I could see people arguing saying that one. But this year just feels like that clash because you feel like coming to the year, both these teams got a solid shot, right? To do something and get to the SWAC championship game. So, I mean, what would it be like you say, right, to have, again, this is such a unique situation. There's the FBS programs, the FCS programs, the programs, period, that play a conference game, a rival game, off top out the gate like this, right? and it matters. When you had FAMU in Jackson State a few years ago, right? That was so huge because in the Orange Blossom Classic, right? Because it was the first game of the season and started off like that, but that's not something that's just typical, right? That was just something that was placed there because of the OBC. This is something that every year is like this. If you have these two programs to continue to elevate and be great programs, this game could be massive to start the year off every year. And you got people that really want to be there because, and I think the stadium is only 22,000 in Shell Energy, right? PZ says he's definitely gonna be hot in there. And so I think we had like 18, I think it was 18 2 years ago when we was there, right? So if you can do 18 in a year where you got just two programs that are still trying to build, what could you do this year when you got two programs that are actually saying, I feel like I'm now going to this point where I can kind of get at a peak. So I definitely think it definitely could be could sell out that 22 for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's gonna be a
40
tough
years
one.
ago. It was a long time ago.
They don't circle much air in that stadium, so I try to go to the top where those fans are because I guess soccer likes it hot or something. But
Mr. Johnny, I'm not accusing you.
They don't want wind affecting the ball.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm not accusing Mr. Johnny of cheating. I know you the one who spoke about drones, so I'm just saying I know you're an NCCU guy and y'all got Southern this weekend. We was talking about Spygate, for HBU coaches on Northern Lights today. So I just mentioned maybe they got some drones down there in Baton Rouge right now. I don't know, could be. So, but with that said, man, again, we appreciate all you guys for coming through. Yes, reminding Brandon says, hey, we got tickets for the Sneaker Gala, which is on Friday, right? And the proceeds going to benefit both universities. So make sure you're locked in there. There's going to be a battle of bands also Friday night as well. So they're really building some momentum around the Labor Day Classic, which again, right, this also is going to help to again sell it out too as well. And like I say, the last time it was 18 at Shell Energy. That's nothing, right, to push 4,000, right, to get it to the 22. So I really think it probably will sell out this year for sure, just the anticipation around everything and with all the stuff that's going on around it. But make sure you locked in again with the Labor Day Classic weekend, right? Got the ball, got the gala coming up too as well, and also the battle of the bands, and of course the game as well on Saturday evening. So with that said, man, any last words from you guys as we coming into a new season? All right, it's a new season, it's a new day for this recap show. How you guys feeling as we start this season out? And any last words before we close out?
Now I'm just ready for the season to start. Like I said, I almost, I don't know, I've been watching high school football and I watch a little bit of NFL. I'm not big on NFL preseason, but I'm a big college football fan. Even my younger brother was playing in the NFL. I didn't watch a lot of it, but I really love watching college football, especially HBCU football. So I'm looking forward to it. I can tell you too, if any of you guys, if there's anything you may want me to talk about in the Northern Lights, especially if I hadn't talked about it already, shoot it in the comments or find a way to get it to me or Lionel, and I'll see what I can come with. Now, look, some of these stories are all I have personal experience. Now some of them are loosely, so I don't expose anybody. Like they say, I change the facts so I don't mess up the investigation in the case. But I love talking football. I love talking HBCU football. And, like I said, if I can get some stories without getting somebody in trouble, let me know what y'all want me to talk about.
Nah, for sure, man. That's going to be dope. Northern Lights, it's going to be great throughout this year. Again, man, we got the call lines up on the top right. So each week as you come on, if you guys want to call in, right, and just, share y'all thoughts, whether on Northern Lights, whether it's on the game of the week that week or whatever it may be, you guys can do that. Say again?
No, I'm reading Mr. Holly's comment. Oh, Doug in the tunnel. All right. He hadn't talked to him yet. He went up there, but he wasn't in. He's not officially on campus yet, but he missed him when he went the other day.
Gotcha. New baseball coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So make sure y'all like those again. I remind you guys too. We got what we got going on during the week. So again, in the week at a glance, right? We got the recap show that's going to be every Sunday. Every Sunday, we got the recap show at 8:00 on Monday and Fridays. We're going to have a special deep dive session, either looking at some the team that we got coming up that week, or maybe diving into some of the players specifically, right? Looking at some numbers. Then also on Tuesday, we got the live show on Tuesdays that's moved over from Wednesdays, because on Wednesdays, we got the new PB Nation podcast that's going to be live every Wednesday throughout the season. And on Thursdays, we got an actual live in-person coaches show with Coach Tremaine Jackson at Bar 5015 in Houston, Texas. Of course, in Third Ward, because, we run everything in Houston. So, we're doing it at Third Ward, right? You know what I'm saying? Down in Houston, Texas. And then, like I said, Friday, we talked about that as well. So make sure you guys are locked in with us. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and do that. Hit the notification bell so you guys catch us every time we go live, man. And until then, man, we're going to holler at y'all. Appreciate y'all for checking us out.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Peace.